Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about Stuck With You. Stuck With You, also known by its original title Happy New Year, is a French romantic comedy that tells the story of Gail and Hannah, two complete strangers who are on their way to separate New Year's parties. As they enter and ride the same elevator, it suddenly breaks down, resulting in the two being trapped together. The pair are forced to wait several hours until the elevator can be fixed, which is made more difficult due to their initial animosity toward each other. Over time, however, the two get to know each other and bond over their shared life experiences, resulting in each discovering their own potential, as well as developing an inevitable romance. Despite being one of the shortest feature-length movies I've ever seen, it wasn't actually that bad, although not that great either. It has an interesting concept that's held back by its runtime and genre conventions, but it still gets the job done as an average rom-com. The male lead, Gale, was a decent character for the most part. For starters, he's actually already in a relationship when the movie begins, so right away there's this intriguing backstory behind him that made me want to find out what he was going through and how he would ultimately connect with Hannah. And indeed, a lot about Gale is gradually revealed over the course of the story. His bad upbringing as a child, current issues with his girlfriend, and ongoing struggle to succeed as a comedian highlight a lack of confidence in himself, which makes it easy to sympathize with him when he has so much on his plate, especially when he tries to carry on with a smile on his face. Conversely, the female lead Hannah, while not bad, wasn't quite as interesting to me. Her fiery temper and snarkiness made her a bit off-putting to me in the beginning, and despite also being in a relationship, it doesn't have the same weight as it does with Gale. Her main issue centers around her lack of ability to trust others, specifically her boyfriend who she suspects to be cheating on her, and while I can understand her behavior to a point, there's just not as much evidence to support her arc along with Gale's. It's not a bad arc as she does start to mellow out a bit and become more likable later on, but when compared to Gale, she's still a bit disappointing. As far as the actual romance goes, it proceeds more or less how you'd expect. The two don't get along with each other, largely due to the fact they're both already in relationships, then start to lower their guard and become more friendly with each other. It's the same unlikely lovers formula as told many times before. There are pros and cons when it comes to how the movie approaches their romance. Because of the nature of the movie's setting, which takes place almost entirely on the elevator, it forces the two to get to know each other on a deeper level, and the way they're forced to do so often results in amusing scenarios taking place. This includes things as mundane as eating and drinking together, or as quirky as playing tic-tac-toe all over the elevator walls. The movie is squarely focused on these two, and any other character that's introduced is either never seen or only appears for a brief moment, and oftentimes both, so the audience gets the chance to know the lead characters in a more intimate way that other rom-coms don't, which is cool to see. However, this can also work against the movie's favor. Much of this movie's runtime is dedicated to the characters just sitting around and talking, which gets pretty boring after a while once they start rehashing the same conversation topics, even when the movie's runtime is as short as it is. And that's the biggest flaw I found to be with this movie, is how short it ended up being. Even with the credits, it's less than 1 hour in length, which honestly surprised me because I didn't think a full-fledged story could be told in that amount of time. And to this movie's credit, there are some things it gets right with it. I like that the movie doesn't waste time in setting up the premise. It knows exactly who to focus on, where to take place, and what is supposed to happen. It's simply two strangers doing their own thing who happen to cross paths with each other, and the way they meet in this regard makes it feel authentic, like it actually is two strangers caught in a series of unfortunate events. This being said, I didn't find there to be that much actual build-up between either character, both as individuals and as a potential couple. It feels like the movie is eager to rush through each beat of character development they both have, so for as many cute and meaningful moments they do share together, they all feel too watered down to make a good connection with. The same is true for the flashback/dream sequences that are mixed in throughout the movie, which did help shake things up and keep the movie from being entirely monotonous with the elevator. Whether it involves Gale being tormented as a kid, Hannah having sex at work, or both of them imagining married life together, these moments are a nice change of pace from the main narrative. But just like the moments that the two share in reality, these dream scenes are too short to fully appreciate. Anytime one of these scenes starts to get interesting and deep dive into a character, that's usually when the movie abruptly shifts back into reality, and it was really frustrating to sit through after a while. It's a shame because there's a large variety of these sequences that take place, and it's nice to see other characters talking for once and adding context for the leads, even if they're not really there. In a way, I'm glad that the movie doesn't outstay its welcome, but I also would have appreciated a slower pace to allow proper bonding time for the characters. When the movie isn't developing the characters and their romance, it's fulfilling the other half of its genre commitments, which is the comedy, and I also found this to be a mixed bag. It mostly relies on banter, the two seeking help from people outside the elevator, and slapstick, which didn't really work for me, especially with how the movie likes to show Hannah kneeing people in the gut as a running gag. In the end though, it's not a bad rom-com, more so an average one, albeit with an interesting idea. There is a nice sentiment behind it regarding the theme of motivation and changing one's life for the better, which ties in well with the New Year's Eve atmosphere of the movie, but other than that, there's not much else to say about it. Overall, Stuck With You is a decent but forgettable rom-com that could have done better if it had gone further and longer with its central concept. If you like rom-coms and you want to watch one that's short and sweet while also being fairly predictable, you might enjoy watching this. The movie only does so much with what it has, and thus doesn't go as far as it could, but it remains a fairly entertaining distraction. It won't stick in anyone's minds, but it inspires the right kind of mood for a day like today. And on that note, I'd like to wish anyone who watches this video a Happy New Year and that you achieve all your hopes and dreams going forward. What did you think about this movie? Did you like the main idea behind it, or do you think it could have done better with it? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of Stuck With You. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the American comedy drama White Noise. Bye bye!